Linda Peterson stood in the grand hall of the Galactic Council, surrounded by representatives from 1,000 worlds. Her simple blue suit looked out of place among the glowing robes and complex exoskeletons of the other diplomats. She had been Earth's voice for 5 years now, but she still felt like a child among giants. "The Devourer hive is expanding faster than we predicted," Linda said, her voice steady despite her growing frustration. She held up the datapad showing the latest readings from human deep space probes. "They've consumed 3 more systems in the past month alone. We need to prepare, we need to act now." The council chamber erupted in what passed for laughter among the various species. Councillor Zethkrin, a towering figure with 6 arms and crystalline skin, leaned forward on his high platform. His translator made his voice sound amused but cold. "Ambassador Peterson, how many times must we explain?" Zethkrin gestured with 2 of his arms. "Your species has barely mastered faster than light travel. You've been in space for what, 200 years? We have defended this galaxy for thousands of cycles. The hive is a minor problem, one we have contained before." Maya Rodriguez, another human on Linda's staff, clutched her notes tighter. She sat behind Linda in the designated area for junior diplomats. Her knuckles turned white as she listened to yet another dismissal of their warnings. "With respect, Counselor," Linda tried again, "our analysis shows this is different. The hive has evolved new tactics. They're using some kind of energy absorption we haven't seen before. Our deep space scanners picked up human scanners." Zethkrin interrupted, a ripple of amusement flowing through his crystalline form. "Primitive devices that can barely detect a supernova. Perhaps you should focus on improving your technology before offering advice to those who shaped the stars while your ancestors were still living in caves." All across the chamber, council members turned their attention to other matters. Holographic displays flickered to life as they began discussing trade agreements and border disputes. Linda felt Maya's hand on her shoulder, a quiet message of support. In the corner of the Grand Hall, Captain Alex Turner of the UES Horizon waited quietly. He wore his naval uniform, crisp white with blue trim, more out of habit than official requirement. The council had stopped inviting military personnel to these meetings months ago, claiming they preferred peaceful discussions. Alex caught Linda's eye and gave her a small nod. They both knew what this meant. The council meeting was a formality. Now, a performance they had to play out. The real decisions about humanity's future were being made elsewhere, in quiet discussions between human leaders who had grown tired of being ignored. After the session ended, Alex and Linda met in a small observation deck overlooking the council station's central plaza. Through the transparent aluminum, they watched aliens of every shape and size going about their business. Ships of incredible design moved through docking ports that looked like works of art. "They don't understand what's coming," Alex said, breaking the silence. "Or they don't want to." Linda sipped her coffee, one of the few Earth pleasures she could still enjoy this far from home. "I spoke with representatives from the Kresh Empire and the Technical Union. They've all had encounters with the Hive's new ships. But when it comes to council meetings, they follow Zethkrin's lead. They don't want to admit there's something they can't handle." Back on Earth, Admiral William Burke sat in the war room beneath Pentagon Sublevel 5. Screens displaying strategic maps surrounded him, showing human colonies, defense networks, and most importantly, secret escape routes that took years to prepare. "Confirm all Phase 1 protocols," Burke ordered his staff. "I want every civilian transport ready for departure within 72 hours. Colonel Karen Phillips, his second-in-command, walked over with a tablet. Her face was grave as she handed him the latest message from Ambassador Peterson. "They dismissed us again, sir." Councillor Zethkrin barely let her finish her presentation. Burke read through the report, his expression growing darker with each line. "How many human civilians are in the outer colonies?" 3.5 million, sir. Another 500,000 in various scientific stations and research outposts within council space. Begin the quiet evacuation. Use the mining companies as cover. Tell people it's a standard rotation schedule." Burke looked up at the larger screen, where a simulation showed the Devourer hive's projected expansion path. "And send a message to Peterson. It's time for humans to start walking away." At the massive frontier station on the edge of Council, Space Station Director Paul O'Connor received the orders he'd been expecting. The station had served as humanity's largest civilian presence outside their own systems, a gleaming city in space that housed 50,000 people and served as a hub for countless human enterprises. "Begin protocol exodus," he told his management team. "I want this done quietly without panic. Manufacturers first, then researchers, then general population. Tell everyone it's a planned downsizing. No one needs to know the full truth yet." Kate Williams, Chief of Human Spacefleet Operations, coordinated from her command center on Europa. Her screen showed the real-time positions of every human civilian and military vessel in the galaxy. Each ship had received its secret orders, months ago, disguised as routine training exercises or commercial contracts. The UES Endeavour, humanity's largest medical research vessel, departed from its position near the Velkai homeworld. Dr. Ryan Mitchell watched the blue-green planet shrink in the view screen as they left orbit. He and his team had made significant advances in combating Velkai cellular degradation syndrome, a disease that had plagued their species for centuries. "Will we tell them where we're going?" asked his assistant, looking at the planet. "No," Ryan said firmly. "Let them figure out how to handle their pandemic on their own. Maybe next time they'll listen when we offer help." Back in her quarters after another failed plea to the council, Linda Peterson sat with Maya Rodriguez and reviewed contingency plans. They were to be among the last humans to leave council space, maintaining the appearance of normalcy until the final phase. "Do you think they'll figure it out?" Maya asked, looking at the evacuation schedules. "Eventually," Linda replied. "But by then it won't matter. The hive will be here, and they'll have to face it with their own superior technology." Commander Steve Harper stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, leading a hidden fleet of human warships. Unlike the ships the Council had seen, these vessels incorporated technology the humans had developed in secret, innovations the Council would have laughed at as primitive if they'd known about them. "All ships report ready, Commander," his EXO announced. "Good. Maintain position in the Oort cloud. When the time comes, we'll be ready." As the days passed, subtle changes began appearing throughout Council space. Human engineers who maintained critical systems in various installations started reporting equipment malfunctions that required their immediate presence back on Earth. Medical facilities run by human doctors suddenly developed scheduling conflicts that required staff rotations. Greg Murphy, a junior diplomat on Linda's team, noticed something during a routine supply meeting. The Tarkanian delegation mentioned having trouble with their food synthesizers, equipment that human technicians had improved years ago. "We'll need to review the maintenance logs," the Tarkanian official said, antennae twitching nervously. "Your people's modifications have been essential to keeping our systems running efficiently." Greg smiled politely but said nothing. He already knew those maintenance logs would soon become very hard to access. In the depths of space, human probes continued their watch on the Devourer hive. The data they collected grew more alarming each day, showing tactics and technologies that challenged everything the Council thought they knew about the threat. But these reports no longer went to Council databases. Lieutenant David Kane monitored the data stream from his post on the UES Observer, carefully routing all information through dedicated human channels. Earth's scientific community analyzed everything in real time, preparing their own civilization for what was coming. The Council continued their business as usual, dismissing human concerns and assuming their superiority would prevail. They failed to notice the gradual disappearance of the species they considered primitive but useful. In their arrogance, they couldn't imagine that the humans they mocked might possess wisdom they lacked. And in the dark spaces between stars, the Devourer hive continued its inexorable advance, moving ever closer to Council space. Only humanity watched with full understanding of what was approaching, and only humanity was preparing to survive what was coming. The first cracks in the Council's perfect order were about to appear. 2 months after the Council meeting, Paul O'Connor watched the final civilian transport depart from Frontier Station. The massive structure, once bustling with 50,000 residents, now held only essential staff. Empty quarters stretched across multiple levels, Abandoned shops lined silent corridors, and the central plaza stood vacant. "Deactivation sequence complete," reported his assistant, Jake Martinez. "All civilian databases wiped, commercial logs erased. They'll find traces of our activities, but nothing they can use." Paul stared out the command center's window at the departing shuttle. He'd spent 15 years building this station with the Council's approval, turning it into a symbol of human presence in this sector. Now he was dismantling everything piece by piece. "How many staff remaining?" he asked. 87, Jake replied. "Just enough to maintain life support and basic operations. The skeleton crew you requested." Kate Williams coordinated the massive relocation effort from her command center on Europa. Her screens showed hundreds of blinking lights, each representing a human ship moving through carefully planned routes. No ship traveled alone. They moved in groups of 3 or 4, disguised as commercial convoys. "The Velkai are asking about the medical research team," reported her communications officer, Lieutenant Brian Walsh. "They say Dr. Mitchell missed their monthly progress meeting." "Tell them he's dealing with a family emergency on Earth," Kate replied without hesitation. "Remind them they can access all existing research through standard channels." She watched another group of ships jump to faster-than-light travel, disappearing from her sensors. The exodus was going exactly as planned. In 3 months, hardly any human presence would remain in Council space. Meanwhile, in the Arcturus system, the massive mining facility that supplied rare minerals to the Council continued operations at half capacity. Manager Susan Brooks supervised the controlled shutdown of primary excavation sites while maintaining appearances of normal activity. "The Carillion Transport Authority is requesting an increase in shipments," her supervisor David White informed her. "They're preparing for their expansion into the Theta sector." "Schedule them for monthly deliveries instead of weekly," Susan suggested. "Site equipment maintenance issues. It'll buy us more time." The Carillions, dependent on human refined minerals for their industrial processes, accepted the explanation. Without question, they had always viewed humans as reliable but unremarkable suppliers. The idea that Earth might have other plans never crossed their serpentine minds. Dr. Nina Patel worked late into the night at the Council's Central Medical Research Facility. She was one of the last human doctors still completing her assignment, treating a delicate diplomatic condition affecting 3 Council species. The other human medical staff had already rotated out, replaced by no one. "Doctor?" Her Xari assistant clicked its mandibles nervously. "The automated health monitoring systems are reporting increased errors since the human technicians left. The quantum calibration protocols seem incorrect." Nina smiled reassuringly. "I'm sure it's just a temporary glitch. Have you tried the standard reset procedures?" The Xari physician attempted the reset, but the complex medical AI continued to malfunction. Neither of them realized that the human technicians had integrated their improvements so deeply into the system that removing their expertise created cascading failures throughout the facility's network. Far from Council space, the UES Independence arrived at Haven Prime, humanity's secret stronghold. Captain Lisa Henderson guided the massive colony ship through the asteroid field that concealed their new home. The facility, built over 20 years in absolute secrecy, could house millions if necessary. Automated defenses confirming approach. "Vectors," announced Commander Ryan Foster. "Welcome home, Captain." Through the view screen, Lisa watched hundreds of ships already docked at the station's multiple arms. Earth flags flew alongside state banners, creating a sea of color against the dark space. This was humanity's real achievement, not the stations they built for the Council to admire, but this hidden sanctuary they created while everyone else watched and laughed. Back at Earth, Admiral Burke received daily reports on the evacuation progress. In his war room, holographic displays showed the shrinking human presence across the galaxy. Each light that dimmed represented another critical position abandoned. "The Council Security Force inquired about our fleet movements," reported Colonel Karen Phillips. "They noticed several ships haven't checked in at their scheduled waypoints." "Standard response," Burke ordered. "Technical upgrades and crew rotations. Nothing they can verify without boarding our vessels, which they won't do. They respect their own rules about sovereign space." Kate Williams faced increasing pressure as days passed. Her remaining ships had to maintain appearances while preparing for complete withdrawal. She studied the galaxy map, calculating final departure windows for different sectors. Commander, Jang reports successful evacuation from the Kelper outpost, her tactical officer announced. That's the last of our deep space research stations. Excellent, Kate responded. Begin Phase 3 of Exodus Protocol. All military assets are to consolidate in the outer systems. At the Council's main shipyard in the Deneb sector, Chief I, Engineer Marcus Lane supervised his final month of operations. The facility relied heavily on human technical expertise, though Council officials rarely acknowledged this dependency. Marcus and his team had designed improvements to docking mechanisms, energy distribution systems, and repair protocols. They have no idea, muttered his assistant Henry Walker, as they watched Velkian engineers struggle with a simple maintenance algorithm. Everything we built into these systems requires human-specific understanding. Marcus nodded. Let them figure it out. Maybe next time they'll think twice before dismissing an entire species as primitive. Ambassador Linda Peterson continued, attending council meetings, maintaining diplomatic protocols even as she knew her time was limited. Each session felt more hollow than the last. Council members discussed minor trade disputes and cultural exchanges while ignoring the growing shadow of the Devourer hive. I notice fewer human ships in our commercial lanes, remarked Councillor Velthak during a break. Are you consolidating your civilian traffic? Just routine reorganization, Linda replied smoothly. We're implementing new efficiency protocols to reduce our carbon footprint. The ridiculous response satisfied the self-important councillor, who immediately launched into a lecture about environmental responsibility. Linda glanced at Maya Rodriguez, who struggled to maintain a straight face. In the security sector of Council space, human peace officers gradually concluded their contracts. Captain Rachel Bennett of the UES Guardian was among them, leading the last human patrol assigned to the troubled border region with the Cretan Empire. Dispatch is asking why we filed for early contract termination, her XO reported. The Cretan specifically requested our unit remain for another cycle. Family obligations, Rachel stated, her standard answer for all such inquiries. Human custom requires extended leave after service completion. What the Council didn't realize was that these peace officers had spent years mapping vulnerabilities in their defense networks, understanding weaknesses in their response protocols, and establishing backdoor access to critical systems. All this information was now being transferred to human databases, carefully compiled for potential future use. The human population in Council space dwindled to less than 20% of its peak. Governor Daniel Wright oversees the evacuation of New Constantinople, the largest human settlement outside the solar system. The city of 200,000 residents stood eerily quiet as the final commercial vessels prepared for departure. The Velkai ambassador sent another message. His aide informed him. They want to know why medical collaboration has ceased. Their cellular degradation treatments aren't working properly. Tell them to review the documentation provided, Daniel responded. Everything they need to continue the research is in the files. The truth, which neither the ambassador nor Daniel would mention, was that the crucial elements of the treatment required human intuition and adjustment that couldn't be coded into standard protocols. Without human doctors making real-time modifications, the therapy would eventually fail. Station Director Paul O'Connor watched his final team prepare Frontier Station for automated operations. In 2 weeks, the once vibrant hub would become a ghost facility, maintained by basic AI systems until someone from the Council bothered to take control. The cultural exchange programs are asking about next season's arrangements, reported Chief Administrator Betty Adams. They specifically mentioned the success of human art installations. Cancel everything, Paul instructed firmly. Cite budget constraints and administrative restructuring. Send formal notifications to all participants. As human presence faded from Council space, subtle problems began appearing in systems everywhere. The Tarkanian food synthesizers, the Council medical AI, the shipyard maintenance protocols, the Krillian mining operations. All started showing signs of degradation without human expertise to maintain their enhanced efficiency. Yet the Council remained oblivious. In their meetings, they discussed the natural ebb and flow of different species' involvement in galactic affairs. Some suggested that humanity's withdrawal was actually beneficial, allowing more traditional Council members to resume control of various sectors. Councillor Zethkrin even praised the development in public broadcasts. See how the natural order reasserts itself when primitive species recognize their limitations and withdraw from positions beyond their capabilities. None of them noticed how their own systems were beginning to fail. None of them realized how dependent they had become on the species they called primitive, and none of them saw the devourer hive steadily advancing through space, taking advantage of defenses that grew weaker with each human departure. The quiet exodus continued, humanity methodically removing itself from Council space while the galaxy's self-proclaimed protectors celebrated their renewed purity. The first signs of crisis were already apparent, but pride blinded the Council to the approaching storm. And somewhere in the dark between stars, the hive moved closer. 3 months after the exodus began, Ambassador Greg Murphy stood before the Grand Council for what would be humanity's final address. Unlike previous appearances, this time he came alone. Gone were the junior diplomats, technical advisors, and research staff that usually accompanied human delegates. Distinguished Council members, Greg began, his voice clear in the vast chamber. I stand before you today to officially announce Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Alliance treaties. The chamber erupted in murmurs of surprise. Prime Councillor Velthak raised his many-eyed head, confusion rippling across his symbiotic armor. Ambassador Murphy, surely this isn't necessary. Your people have served adequately in their minor capacity. There's no need for such dramatic gestures. Greg's expression remained neutral. We've served for 50 years warning you about threats you refuse to acknowledge. Now we choose our own path. He paused, letting his words sink in. The devourer hive will reach the outer rim of your space in approximately 6 months. You have been warned. Without waiting for a response, Greg turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the doors sealed with a final hiss. No human would ever stand in that hall again. In the days following Greg's announcement, the full scope of humanity's departure became painfully clear. At the Velkai Medical Center, doctors struggled with equipment that had worked perfectly for years. The immune response modulator isn't calibrating correctly, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Zenalth reported to his superior. We've followed all standard maintenance procedures, but the results are inconsistent. Perhaps contact the human technical support team, suggested Nurse Kretak. I tried, the doctor replied grimly. All human communication channels are closed. Even their emergency response systems have been deactivated. Similar problems emerged across Council space. The Krillian mining operations discovered their extraction rates had dropped by 30%. The sophisticated algorithms that maximized mineral yields needed constant adjustments their human consultants had always provided. We're losing productivity every day, Mining Director Sesthek hissed to his council. The humans modified our protocols in ways we don't fully understand. Find other technical support, ordered his supervisor. The council says humans were never essential, but finding replacements proved difficult. Other species had the technical knowledge, but lacked the intuitive problem-solving approach humans had developed. Complex systems that required creative fixes now operated at basic efficiency. At the Frontier Station, automated systems struggled to maintain optimal performance. Station Chief Mortank, a Tarkanian administrator appointed to replace Paul O'Connor, faced mounting challenges. The waste management system is operating at 40% capacity, reported technician Velpix. The emergency override protocols aren't responding properly. Call the human engineering team, Mortank ordered out of habit. Sir, there is no human engineering team anymore. They've all departed. The station's air scrubbers began rattling with unusual sounds. Without regular maintenance from people who understood the modifications, basic life support systems started showing signs of strain. Earth's former colony of New Constantinople stood eerily empty. The Velkai had requested permission to establish a presence there, hoping to utilize the advanced medical facilities humans had built. Ambassador Tarak arrived to find a city frozen in abandonment. "Everything's here," he reported to Council headquarters. "Medical equipment, research laboratories, even fully stocked pharmacies. But the computing systems won't respond to our commands." "Override them," ordered his superior. Tarak tried for hours. The systems activated but refused to function properly. They had been designed with human biometric security, requiring human neural patterns to access advanced features. Without these inputs, the equipment operated only at basic levels. Dr. Lisa Adams, the final human researcher at the Council Science Institute, packed her belongings as colleagues watched nervously. Her work on quantum stabilization had prevented countless containment failures at particle colliders throughout Council space. "But who will continue your research?" asked scientist Krelvar, his tentacles waving anxiously. "The stabilization matrix requires constant recalibration." "I've left detailed instructions," Lisa replied calmly. "Everything you need is in the databanks." What she didn't mention was that the instructions were theoretical guides only. The real work required understanding subtle variations in quantum fields. Understanding that came from human intuition developed through years of hands-on experience. The Council's Grand Fleet faced its own crisis. Commander Steve Harper had quietly removed all human-developed combat algorithms from their fire control systems. Admiral Carthune discovered this during a routine training exercise. "Why are our targeting systems performing inefficiently?" he demanded of his technical crew. "The advanced predictive algorithms are missing, sir," reported his aide. "The systems now operate on standard Council protocols only." "Activate the backups," Carthune ordered impatiently. "These were the backups, sir. The human-enhanced systems were the primary. We don't have their source code." On a diplomatic mission, the Council delegation to the Hessian Empire found themselves without their usual translators. Human linguists had developed real-time translation protocols that captured cultural nuances other translators missed. "Your offer to expand trade routes is acceptable." The Hessian Prime hesitated, multiple eyes blinking in confusion. "But your tone suggests deeper meaning. Are you threatening war?" "No," the Tarkanian ambassador responded quickly. "We merely wish to increase commerce." The misunderstanding nearly caused a diplomatic incident. Human translators would have smoothed the cultural differences, ensuring proper context for sensitive negotiations. Back on Earth, Admiral William Burke reviewed reports of Council's growing struggles. The Devourer Hive had already consumed another system at the edge of Krillian space, yet the Council still didn't grasp the severity of their situation. "Should we offer assistance?" asked Colonel Karen Phillips hesitantly. "No," Burke stated firmly. "They made their choice. Let them face the consequences of their arrogance." Andrew Chen was the last human trader to complete business in Council space. He piloted his ship, the UES Nomad, to its final rendezvous point near the Velkai homeworld. Council security hailed him for a routine check. "Purpose of departure?" the officer asked. "Business concluded," Andrew replied simply. "Returning to Earth." "Will you be returning to our space?" There was a long pause. "No. Earth has closed all trade routes to Council systems. This is our final transaction." After Andrew's ship jumped to hyperspace, silence fell over the communication channel. The security officer stared at the empty space where the ship had been. Humans had traded with his people for decades. Their ships brought rare metals and medicines no other species provided at affordable prices. Dr. Ryan Mitchell sent his final transmission from the UES Endeavour. He addressed it to the Velkai Medical Commission. "All research data has been provided. As agreed. Your current protocols will maintain cellular degradation treatments for approximately 4 months. After that, degradation will resume. We suggest you focus your efforts on finding an alternative solution. Humanity wishes you the best." The message caused panic among Velkai leadership. Thousands of their citizens depended on the treatment. Without human doctors to adjust the therapy for individual variations, many would suffer. At Haven Prime, humanity watched the Council's struggles from afar. Commander Lisa Henderson monitored communications intercepts, tracking the growing chaos. The Tarkanian shipyards are requesting emergency technical support, she reported to Admiral Burke. Their automated construction systems have multiple failures, and their request to Earth? Ignored as per protocol. Across Council space, the small problems compounded into larger issues. Medical systems failed to diagnose rare conditions. Mining yields dropped further. Ships experienced power fluctuations. Diplomatic relations grew strained without proper translation. Some council members began to understand. In private meetings, voices of concern grew louder. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of humanity, suggested Minister Pralnak of the Hessian Empire. Their contributions were more significant than we acknowledged. They were useful laborers, nothing more, Councillor Zethkrin insisted. Council innovation will compensate for their absence. Yet innovation proved difficult when existing systems depended on human insights that couldn't be replicated. The Council had grown too accustomed to incremental advances built upon human foundations. In the Outer Rim, independent stations that relied on Council protection began reporting Hive scout ships. These stations, many built with human engineering, found their defenses operating at reduced capacity. Our shield generators fluctuate. Randomly, Station Master Vornak reported. The humans adjusted them for maximum efficiency, but we can't replicate their configuration. The Council dispatched their fleet for protection, only to discover their own defensive capabilities had decreased. Without human tactical support, their ship's combat effectiveness had dropped below expected levels. As darkness spread across the outer systems, the first real tremors of fear began to shake the Council's confidence. They had dismissed humans as primitive, useful only for simple tasks. Now they discovered that those simple tasks formed the foundation of their entire civilization. But pride still prevented them from admitting their mistake. Instead of seeking peace with humanity, they began searching for other solutions, other species who might fill the technological gaps. They remained blind to the approaching storm, even as its shadow fell across their space. The galaxy was about to teach them the cost of arrogance. The first Devourer hive ship appeared exactly where human charts had predicted. It emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Velkai territory, its massive crystalline hull shimmering with absorbed energy from countless consumed worlds. Alert all fleets, Admiral Carthoon commanded from his flagship. Deploy defensive formations, Beta 7. His tactical officer hesitated. Sir, Beta 7 requires the human-developed targeting matrices. We only have the standard protocols available. Use what we have, Carthoon snapped, refusing to acknowledge the limitation. The Council's proud fleet moved into position. 12 battlecruisers, the finest ships in the galaxy, faced a single hive vessel. They opened fire with weapons that had defended countless worlds for centuries. The hive ship absorbed their attacks without slowing. Its energy shields rippled like water, dispersing the impact across its crystalline surface. Then it fired back. 3 Council ships exploded instantly. The hive's weapons used a form of energy manipulation humans had warned about, technology the Council had dismissed as impossible. Shields failing, reported the bridge crew as their ship shuddered. Hull breach on decks 12 through 15. Impossible, Carthoon shouted. Our shields were rated against all known weapons. Human modifications made them 30% more efficient, his second-in-command reminded him quietly. We removed those systems last month. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, 8 Council battlecruisers drifted as burning debris. The surviving ships limped back to the nearest station, their crews shocked and demoralized. On the UES observer, hidden in the asteroid belt at the system's edge, Lieutenant Jason Miller recorded everything. His ship's advanced sensors captured data that would have been invaluable to the Council's defense efforts, but his orders were clear. Observe only. Should we transmit our findings to them? His junior officer asked, watching the casualties mount. No, Jason replied firmly. They wouldn't believe us anyway. They'd need to see our sensor logs, which would require admitting our equipment is superior to theirs. Back at Council headquarters, emergency sessions convened around the clock. The ease with which the Hive had defeated their fleet terrified even the most arrogant members. "We need to reassess our defensive strategies," suggested Defense Minister Krelthok. "Perhaps we should attempt to contact Earth again." "Absolutely not." Councillor Zethkrin slammed his crystalline fist on the table. "We will not beg for help from primitives. Our technology is supreme. We simply need to adapt our tactics." But adaptation proved difficult when the very systems they needed to adapt had depended on human innovations they no longer possessed. Dr. Nina Patel received a desperate message at her new posting in the outer human colonies. The Velkai Medical Commission pleaded for assistance as their cellular degradation crisis worsened. "Our citizens are dying," the message read. "The treatment protocols you provided are failing. We require immediate consultation." Nina showed the message to her supervisor. "Should I respond?" "Forward it to Admiral Burke," came the reply. "This isn't a medical decision anymore, it's military policy." 3 star systems fell to the Hive in rapid succession. Council forces, hampered by degraded defenses and missing tactical systems, could barely slow their advance. Ships that once protected entire sectors now struggled to defend single planets. At the Tarkanian shipyards, desperate efforts to repair essential systems continued. Chief Engineer Velmak worked around the clock to restore full functionality to their construction facilities. "The quantum welders are still malfunctioning," reported his exhausted team. "We can't achieve the precision required for armor plating." "Have we received any response from our technical assistance requests?" Velmak asked. "The Krillians sent a team, but they can't read the human modification logs. The code appears to be in some proprietary format that requires human neural interface to decode properly." With damaged ships piling up and repair capacity cut by half, the Council's ability to respond to the Hive threat diminished daily. Commodore Daniel Brooks observed these failures from a concealed position near Council space. His hidden sensors picked up their military communications, which grew increasingly panicked. "They're trying to retrofit their ships with standard combat systems," he reported to Earth Command. "They're removing all remnants of human enhancement and starting from scratch." "Efficiency estimates?" Admiral Burke asked. "They'll be at about 60% effectiveness compared to before," Daniel calculated. "And it'll take months to complete the modifications. The Hive won't wait." On the diplomatic front, several species began questioning the Council's leadership. The Hessian Empire, having lost 2 colonies to the Hive, demanded answers. "Why weren't we better prepared?" Diplomat Resitak challenged during a heated session. "The humans warned us months ago about exactly this scenario." "The humans saw opportunity to spread panic and jumped at it," Zethkrin defended. "Random chance that their wild predictions proved partially accurate." "Partially accurate?" Restak's multiple eyes widened. "They predicted the Hive's path, its new energy absorption capabilities, and the failure points in our defense grid. They warned us about the exact weaknesses the Hive is now exploiting." The chamber fell silent. Even Zethkrin struggled to dismiss such precise foreknowledge. Across the galaxy, human-built infrastructure continued to degrade. The Frontier Station, now under Council control, experienced complete life support failure in its outer sections. Without human understanding of the complex integration systems, repairs progressed slowly. "We need to expand our habitable zones," Station Administrator Mortank reported. "The main city levels are overcrowded as we evacuate compromised sections." "Begin modifications to secondary areas," his supervisor ordered. "Sir, the modification programs require human biometric authorization. We can access basic commands only." 5 more systems fell to the Hive. Each victory revealed new capabilities that human data had predicted, but the Council had ignored. The Hive adapted quickly, finding and exploiting the weaknesses in Council defenses that humans had identified long ago. At the Krillian Mining Consortium, Director Assistek faced production quotas he could no longer meet. The refined minerals essential for ship construction dropped to critical levels. "Project delays are compounding," he reported to the Economic Council. "Without proper extraction algorithms, we can't increase output." "Purchase additional mining equipment," they ordered. "Who will manufacture it?" "Our primary suppliers' shipyards." are operating at half capacity. The vast bureaucracy of the Council began grinding to a halt. Each failure created cascading effects across multiple sectors. Medical, industrial, military, and civilian systems all suffered from the absence of human expertise. Dr. Ryan Mitchell's final message proved prophetic. The Velkai cellular degradation treatments failed exactly as he predicted. Thousands fell, ill, overwhelming medical facilities that couldn't function properly without human-maintained equipment. "We need Earth's help," Minister Pralnak finally admitted to his council. "Our pride has cost us dearly." "They would demand concessions," worried another minister. "Recognition of their importance. Perhaps even equal status with senior council members. Better to deal with human pride than face extinction from the hive," Pralnak argued. But Zethkrin blocked every attempt at communication with Earth. "We will solve this ourselves," he insisted, even as reports of hive advances grew more dire. Commander Lisa Henderson watched the Council's struggle from Haven Prime's command center. Intercepted messages revealed their increasing desperation, but humanity remained committed to its course. "They still haven't learned," she commented to her staff. "Even facing destruction, they can't admit they underestimated us." Andrew Chen's trading records became valuable intelligence. His final logs detailed the exact locations of critical infrastructure throughout Council space. Information that would be essential if humanity ever needed to assist, or if necessary, defend against Council interference. The economic impact devastated sectors the Council had taken for granted. Human-traded medicines reached premium prices before disappearing entirely. Specialized tools and replacement parts became scarce. Even simple items like efficient air filters required new, less effective substitutes. As another 3 systems fell to the hive's relentless advance, some council members began meeting in secret. They discussed the unthinkable: direct negotiation with Earth, admission of their mistakes, and potential cooperation. "We cannot let the hive consume our civilization," whispered Vice Admiral Tekmar. "If Earth can help us win this war, we must consider any option." "Treason," others hissed. "Zethkrin would have you executed for such thoughts." But fear of extinction proved stronger than fear of political consequences. The cracks in Council unity widened as the hive continued its advance, each victory exposing new vulnerabilities that human warnings had identified months earlier. The galaxy watched as its self-proclaimed protectors scrambled to save themselves, struggling with technology they thought they understood but had relied on human innovation to master. The cost of arrogance was mounting with each conquered world. The Council's moment of reckoning approached, even as their pride continued to blind them to the solution that stood waiting: cooperation with the species they had dismissed as primitive. But time was running out, and the hive showed no mercy. To the proud, the Devourer hive consumed 12 star systems in 2 weeks. The Council's legendary defense fleet, reduced to scattered remnants, could barely protect their core worlds. Civilian ships fled in panic, choking trade routes and spreading fear. Counselor Repthar, representing the Hessan Empire, stood in an emergency session clutching critical casualty reports. 17 million dead or missing, our medical facilities failing, our military unable to mount effective resistance. We must take action. Prime Counselor Velthak's symbiotic armor dulled with stress. "What action do you propose? We've committed all available resources." "Contact Earth," Repthar stated clearly. "Request assistance." The chamber exploded in angry murmurs. Counselor Zethkrin rose to his full height, crystalline form gleaming despite the dim emergency lighting. "Never," Zethkrin declared. "We will not grovel before that primitive species. The Council represents thousands of years of advancement. We will triumph through our own greatness." "Our own greatness can't diagnose medical conditions," Repthar shot back. "It can't calibrate our defense grids, it can't—" "We are the Galactic Council," Zethkrin interrupted. "Superior in every way. Once we reconfigure our systems, the hive will fall before us." In the command center on Europa, Kate Williams received notification of the debate through intercepted communications. She shared the ASIPO information with her team of tactical analysts. "They're still refusing contact," reported Lieutenant Nathan Walsh. But preliminary polls show 63% of non-Council species would support cooperation with Earth. The Council members, citizens are suffering, Kate observed. How long before public pressure overrides official policy? Admiral William Burke studied holographic displays showing the hive's advance. Each red zone represented another system lost, another population consumed. The path matched human projections exactly. Admiral, Colonel Karen Phillips entered the war room with urgent reports. We've confirmed the hive is using quantum tunneling technology to bypass heavily defended systems. They're taking the exact path our simulations predicted. And the Council? Burke asked. Still trying to solve it conventionally, they're moving their entire fleet to defend the Velkai homeworld, the next major target. The battle for Velkai proved catastrophic. The Council assembled their remaining forces, 47 ships, including their flagship, the Pride of Unity. They deployed the best tactics known to their conventional understanding. The hive arrived with 3 vessels. Their ships, now visibly larger from absorbed mass, emerged from quantum tunnels directly within the planet's defensive perimeter. Impossible, Admiral Carthune exclaimed from the bridge of Pride of Unity. No ship can tunnel through our shield grid. But the hive did. Their quantum drives, powered by energy absorption technology humans had warned about, penetrated defenses designed against traditional threats. The battle lasted 4 hours. 39 Council ships were destroyed, including their Pride and their flagship. The recordings captured by human observers showed hive vessels adapting to every countermeasure in real time. Without human-enhanced predictive systems, Council forces couldn't anticipate or counter the adaptations. From the edge of the battle zone, Commander Steve Harper watched aboard the UES Defiance. His tactical officers analyzed hive capabilities, updating their own defensive protocols. Their energy manipulation has evolved further, his science officer reported. But our quantum shielding should handle it. The modifications we developed specifically for this threat. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a distress signal from the Velkai homeworld. They're requesting emergency, medical assistance. Steve hesitated. His orders were clear. Observe, do not engage. But as he watched orbital hospitals burning below, the weight of those orders grew heavier. Meanwhile, on Haven Prime, Dr. Sam Wilson prepared humanity's refugee assistance program. Despite official policy, humanitarian concerns couldn't be ignored. We have space for 50,000 refugees, he briefed his team. Medical Bay can handle critical cases, but we need Council authorization to operate in their space. They'll need to ask first, his supervisor responded firmly. The policy remains unchanged. 2 days after the Velkai tragedy, secret night flights departed from Haven Prime. Captain Rachel Green commanded the first mission, her ship UES Mercy filled with medical supplies and doctors. If anyone asks, this is humanitarian aid only, she instructed her crew. No military involvement, no unauthorized data sharing. Help the wounded, nothing more. Her ship appeared at the edge of Velkai space, broadcasting on civilian channels only. Ground control, initially suspicious, soon accepted assistance once they realized thousands were dying without proper treatment. Dr. John Mitchell, among the volunteers, worked tirelessly in makeshift hospitals. His human training allowed him to adapt equipment the locals couldn't operate properly. "How are you doing this?" asked Dr. Zenolth, watching in amazement as Mitchell coaxed their broken medical AI back to functionality. "Our best technicians couldn't restore those systems. Different approach," Mitchell replied modestly, not mentioning the years of human-specific training that made the difference. Back in council chambers, debates grew more heated as reports of human aid reached government officials. Councillor Zethkrin demanded an immediate halt to all assistance. "They seek to make us dependent," he warned. "To demonstrate superiority through charity," Minister Pralnak countered firmly. "They're saving our citizens while we argue about pride. How many more must die before we admit our mistake?" The hive continued its advance. With Velkai defenses crippled, they moved toward the Krillian homeworld. The remaining council fleet, barely a dozen ships, scrambled to mount a defense. Admiral Carl Peterson monitored the situation from Earth's military command. Pressure mounted from humanitarian groups demanding broader intervention. "Sir, the Baptist Mining Consortium has lost all contact with their colonies," reported his aide. "The hive consumed 3 civilian systems yesterday. Casualties? 700,000 confirmed dead. Estimates suggest millions more in threatened areas." Peterson reviewed military protocols. Humanity's defenses could easily handle the hive threat. Their quantum shielding, developed from studying the invasion pattern humans predicted, provided reliable protection. Their weapons, calibrated for the hive's specific energy signatures, would be devastatingly effective. "Sir," his tactical officer ventured carefully, "if we deployed just 2 squadrons, we could stop the hive's advance entirely." "Council policy remains unchanged," Peterson stated. "They haven't apologized. They haven't asked for help. We wait." Yet Earth's patience had limits. After the Council lost their core medical facility to a hive strike, killing 12,000 patients, including members of various species, something broke in the relationship between pride and survival. Late one night, a single ship approached Haven Prime without permission or announcement. Counselor Repthar himself piloted the small craft, risking execution for treason. He landed and requested immediate audience with Earth's leadership. Admiral Burke, awakened for the emergency meeting, found Repthar waiting with one message. "We were wrong," the counselor stated simply. "About everything. Your technology, your warnings, your value to the galaxy. The Council's pride will destroy us all unless you help." "The Council voted to contact us?" Burke asked carefully. "No," Repthar admitted. "Zethkrin still controls the majority, but I speak for my people, and for others who've lost faith in the official position. We need you. The galaxy needs you." Admiral Burke's response would shape humanity's future relationship with the stars. Every choice carried consequences that would echo through generations. "Tell your people this," Burke finally said. "We'll provide immediate humanitarian aid through the Hessian Empire, medical supplies, food, temporary shelter. But military intervention requires one thing: formal apology and admission of error from the entire Council." Repthar bowed deeply. "I'll convey your terms, but please consider this while we debate pride and politics, civilians die by the millions. Whatever the Council decides, our people are grateful for any aid you provide." As Repthar departed, Burke turned to his command staff. The weight of decision pressed heavily. Humanity had proven their point. The question remained: would justice be served by watching their former critics burn, or would mercy define humanity's true strength? Outside, stars twinkled in the void, each one touching lives humanity had once called primitive. The choice, to intervene or observe, would determine not just the Council's fate, but the very soul of humanity itself. The next day, humanitarian ships bearing Earth's flag appeared at the edges of multiple Council systems. No weapons, just supplies and doctors. Without orders, the hive paused its advance to analyze this new player in the cosmic game. But they would soon learn, as the Council had painfully discovered, that underestimating humanity carried a deadly price. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if pride would fall to survival, and whether humanity could rise above the desire for vengeance to become something greater than their former antagonists ever imagined. The choice had been made. History would judge them all,